tweet this.
Ooh. Presented by Prize Picks. Get $50 instantly when you play your first $5 and you use the promo code welcome one and all to Light Years. Andy, what a fucking fun Saturday night game. Like, I feel like I say this every time, but like my mood around the Warriors is as high as it's been in so long. Like, this is, and I know people are gonna say, "Oh, you want a title? You guys are in a good mood during the title." Sure, I'm not saying it's been 4 decades since I felt this good, but I'm saying I watched 200 games of miserable basketball, and I believe in this team. Another big win tonight against the Pistons. Fun, scrappy team. You like the Pistons? I think
I do.
Kind of like.
Didn't know they were that good.
I think I kind of like them. But it's just like, man, it feels good to be a Warriors guy right now.
I think you can normally kind of understand how much the Warriors, how good they are in terms of how you plan your day around the game. I started thinking about the game this morning, 5:30 game, and I'm just like, okay, all right, what do I do? I gotta make sure I gotta make sure everything's right. You know, I was going to my in-laws for dinner. I was like, I gotta make sure the TV's on. I gotta make sure everything's. I gotta watch every second of every game.
Can we go early? Can we go early? Is code for can I leave early?
Because I left at halftime. Right at halftime, get home right when the third quarter starts. But what I'm trying to say is, to your point, like the last 2 seasons, we didn't need to watch the game. Like you could, every single game, you and I could sit
Unfortunately,
here and tell you what happened in the game. Yeah, right. And I did maybe 75%, which felt like 200% of the games. And that's all you need. That's all you need. But right now, Sam, this game was, I think, I don't know if there was the most impressive win. That next game was pretty impressive. But man, they played bad tonight. And they found a way to win a game against a team that's really, really good. And I think probably going to be really good for a long time. I don't know Kay was going to be a superstar, but he is a superstar now. And I don't know if they deserve to win this game 45 minutes in. I was like, man, I really thought they were going to lose. And then they won this game the way that I think those championship teams win games. And we're now seeing it from them.
I think that's a good way to put it. It's your mood around the game. The last couple of years, it was a lot of Warriors play tonight. You know, there's a lot of that, like, yep, I got to watch this because we got to do the pod, but I'm not feeling great. I'm not feeling good about this. And right now, I'm excited. I want to see how they look. You know, Detroit's young and athletic. I want to see how they do against that. First game back after a long road trip's like a road game. Shout out Fitz, we missed you. It's like a lot of, and to your point, it's like even when they play a game where they probably deserve to lose most of the game, there's that inherent belief that you think, nah, they got a chance. They can pull this out. They're good enough to win games where they don't have their fastball, where they don't come with their A game. And that's also not been the case the last couple of years. The last couple of years, if they're hitting shots and they're rolling, they could win. But if they hit any form of adversity, there you go. L every time. And this is a different team. To your point, they're not the Dynasty Warriors. They don't have as much talent as them, but the vibe feels like that, where it's like there's this inherent belief that, you know what, if things aren't going their way, I believe they have enough fight to figure it out and at least give themselves a chance down the stretch.
Well, I think that's the key part is we've seen this team fall apart repeatedly so many times this season. Like, let's just talk about this season. We've seen them falling apart. One of the big quotes was, and I don't think the Warriors were never down that much tonight, but one of the big quotes from Steph was always saying like, hey, I don't know if we can come back against a team like that. This game was one of those games that I think pre-Jimmy Butler, like they probably wouldn't be able to get any stops. They definitely wouldn't have been able to get tough shots. I think the tough shots that Jimmy got getting free throws, hit that mid-range over Tobias Harris, right, to put him up.
Or easy shots. or
yeah,
easy
right,
shot, like the whole like
right, right.
things aren't working. Can someone just like get something instead of chuck, right?
I think you saw. I mean, you saw like because Detroit, they're still a young team. Like Cade's kind of the only guy that can handle the ball on that team, and you kind of
Mhm.
saw him in crunch time. Like it's tiring, and he got picked at by Moody at half court because he was. I think it's just too much for him to do, and you see that with Steph pre Jimmy, right? But now a lot of that crunch time was Steph kind of just standing around and saying, "Jimmy, you go create." Jimmy got Quentin post a wide open three, right down the stretch, and to your point, I think we're gonna see that a lot. We're just gonna see a lot of this team getting open looks. Draymond made that wide open big three. I think it was just teams are always gonna leave him open. But by the way, I thought that was going in the whole time. I don't know about you. Put that up, and I was like, Draymond in crunch time with that three.
Draymond's Draymond's face after hits a three, and it's been the same for like 14, 13 years, but it still makes me laugh every time. Still makes me smile because it's like well, you thought I was gonna miss it. It's like, yeah, dude, I
Yeah.
actually did because you shoot 30%, So but uh it's so good. By the way, on the Cade Moody thing,
Mm.
they're on the same high school team. And Cade was the
Oh,
man on that team, and Moody was a role player on that team. But like
that's right.
they go back, and to your point, I loved Cade coming out. I lost a little faith. You know, it was pretty rough there for a while in Detroit, where I was like, maybe he's not that good. Maybe he's not like he's obviously good, but maybe he's not like that like franchise guy, right? And then of course this year, it's this way you don't write off young guys per se who have enough tools. But Moody's response when he got that stop, you could tell that was I'm playing against a guy I've known since I was 15, 16. It was a little that like
I know what he's gonna do. I
you
know
know
what
that
he's gonna
vibe
do.
too. You also know how it feels to like do it against a guy you're boys with versus just another guy.
It's
So
different. Also, by the way, can we talk about? I have a take about Moody's defense. Like, I think, and I think this goes for Moody and Pods. I think they're really good against guys that are a little bit slower. Like, like Moody does decently against guys like Jalen Brunson because Jalen Brunson's not super quick. He's kind of
right.
herky jerky, and I think both Pods and Moody are just really smart. Moody's especially really long. I think Pods is quick enough and smart enough to stay in front of those guys. I think it's the
Mhm.
quicker guys that give him problems. I think Quentin Grimes. I think that was kind of a bullshit game, but it's like he's super quick. He just
Sure.
go turbo go. But guys like Brunson, guys like I think even like Luca, we've seen Moody do a decent job on him. And then I think Cade is kind of even a decent matchup for someone like Moody. Like not gonna stop Cade, but I think Moody's a decent defender on guys like him.
Sure.
So I think it's interesting. I think it's a good
Well,
matchup. I think that's been one of the big reasons why their defense is really good now.
who I know the type of player you're talking about, but who are those super quick electric?
Jaw,
Like,
maybe.
yeah, that's kind of
That's
the
about
only
it. Yeah.
That's the only one I can think of. And then like Houston with Amen Thompson,
Right.
but he's not really a point guard. And because he can't shoot in the way the Warriors play help defense, it's kind of a different thing. I don't know that the league is like made up of a bunch of guys who can just burn. Like in some ways, I think the Warriors having this super high IQ team defense, because like
Right.
Jimmy just takes him to another level.
Right.
Draymond's always going to do what he does, Jimmy. And then it allows Moody and Pods to just be positional defenders to a degree.
Mm-hmm.
I think you can get away with it because I don't know how many matchups they are that can really expose it that you're going to face right now. The matchups I worry about with them are like, they're playing really small. There's going to be teams where like size becomes more of an issue, but like I don't know if it's like the innate like point of attack quickness that concerns me with this team, just based off of who I think is in their pathway going forward.
Chat's giving us Jaw, Kyrie, De'Aaron Fox, and Garland.
Well,
Those are
Kyrie's
great names. Kyrie's done, and then De'Aaron Garland. I mean, you're in the NBA Finals if that happens. So,
Cleveland,
yeah, you're right.
fair. Cleveland's got a couple guys where you're like,
But
okay,
that's the finals, right? We're talking about the playoffs. Like if they're in the finals, we're cooking. we're doing great. They have other things to. I mean, they have those things to worry about. So yeah, maybe just Jaw. I don't know. I just thought of this because it does feel like the delta between like losing Wiggins and going to Moody and Pods just hasn't been that as big as expected. And I think to what you said, the team IQ, I think it's just way more important to shore up than, hey, can we guard Cade Cunningham tonight. It's like, you know what? Like Wiggins is really good on defense. Probably wouldn't have done that great on Cade Cunningham either. Like, right, what they really shored up now defensively is that they have Jimmy Butler and Draymond Green playing, middle linebacker and safety or whatever, right?
Yeah.
So it's huge.
They got prime Patrick Willis and Ed Reed back there instead of I'm not gonna pick on people, so I'll leave it to myself. It's gonna go like Hafwanga off the ACL, not so good anymore, but whatever.
Goodbye,
Sanchez, Campbell, those type of guys, whatever. No, but it's true. Like the thing is, like Wiggins obviously can guard the ball and everything, but like it didn't stop them from having breakdowns where like the second or like they would always get killed by a role player who's open in the corner, right? Now that's not happening, and now it's like, all right, Cade, you gonna get your prime James Harden on against us? Like, probably not, probably not. But like, it's a good bet. It's a good bet in general.
Yep.
You mentioned Gee. I want to talk Gee. Like, we're going hipster off the bat here. Like, I got a take for you on Gee. Needs to be in the 8-man playoff rotation. Needs to be. I do not, even with Kuminga coming back, I do not see 8 players better than him on this team. What is he? 6'7", 6'8"? Like, he's a bigger wing. He rebounds incredibly well. He understands how to defend. He also makes incredibly quick decisions, and he hits enough shots. Like, he is a perfect role player. He had a great game today. 15, 6 and 1. It's one of those things where it's like the numbers never really do it justice because he executes his role and knows how to play off of guys. Like, he's a perfect 5th starter, right? Like, a lot of the playoffs is who's going to be the last guy in the lineup. He's like the perfect like glue guy between a Draymond, a Jimmy, a Steph, you go Moody, whatever it may be. He's going to defend. He's going to rebound. He's going to be aware. He's not going to have brain farts so he doesn't know what he's supposed to do. And the part that makes it easier to play him right now is like, it looks like the shot's for real. Like, I don't think he's Clay or anything, but I think if he's wide open in the corner, he can hit it, which is what I need, right? Like, kind of like an off-brand Harrison Barnes in some ways. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, I'm not saying he's obviously not as good as Barnes was during like the title years, but it's like Harrison Barnes, I picked on him a lot. I kind of got frustrated with him at times, mostly because the hype and, he just was never really that guy, but he was still a good player. And those guys are you often don't really appreciate them until they're not there, if that makes sense.
I think it's the opposite, but I agree with you in the opposite in that, like, we appreciate it because he is here. Like, you appreciate it more because we haven't seen it. We haven't seen a Guy Santos type player on this team in a while. That I don't want to just repeat all the things you're saying. He just makes the amount of winning plays that he makes on a game-to-game basis ridiculous. He played 25 minutes tonight, and I felt like he made one winning play a minute. Like, winning play a minute, is that a metric? Do they have that as a metric? Because I feel like he just does that every single time. Which
assistant coach is tracking winning play per minute?
Gotta be Jerry Stackhouse, I feel like. Gotta be. Maybe he doesn't care, but Jerry Stackhouse feels like that kind of like raw Mike Brown type of guy. You know what I mean? He's giving out awards and stuff. It's like 50-50 ball. Guy Santos is getting it, right? And one, that goes in the stat sheet, but it's like defensively, is he going to rotate enough so he can contest and force a missed shot? Like stuff like that, which is, I think, huge. He's smarter than I thought. I mean, I didn't think he was dumb, but it's not often you see like guys that come out of nowhere and are really smart.
He's not overwhelmed. He's not overwhelmed by NBA speed, which is like the best way to put it. It's like, coming out of like the Brazilian second division, I was expecting expecting like Smiley stuff. You know what I'm saying? Where you're just
second
like
division. He was
Yeah, where you're just kind of like, like remember when Smiley was on the Warriors? It's like you're just kind of like, bro. It's like you just watch him and it's like, man, this is moving way too fast for you. You went from playing Sunday run to playing in the NBA type of stuff, right? And that's kind of where Guy came from in some capacity, and he looks like he belongs. That's all that matters.
The chat is giving us NBA size JTA. I love that one. I think we're all huge JTA.
Oh, that's a good one. That's a good one. Yeah.
It's a big one. I saw he was playing in Santa
JTA
Cruz
who's
again.
6'7" instead of 6'4". That's
It's JTA
kind
6'4"?
of a big.
Yeah.
I mean, he lists anyone who's lists at 6'5". Be real. Pod says he's 6'5".
You're right. Hopefully Pod's okay, by the way. I saw him on the bench. Hopefully he's not, backs are tricky. But yeah, Harry B never played with this type of let's go back to your initial statement, which is he needs to be in the top 8 of a playoff rotation. I can't disagree. I mean, the way that he plays, if he's starting a game, maybe that's not great, but they're not having him start a game. They're bringing him in and they're saying like, do all the JTA stuff. Hell, like somebody threw Otto Porter in the chat. He's not Otto Porter because Otto Porter can pass, he can dribble. It's a little lot.
I mean, he's a top 5 pick. It's a little more
Otto.
refined. Yeah,
I miss Otto, but man, he can play. I would say he's definitely on the threshold of 8 and 9. Like there might be some games that he doesn't play because of matchup purposes. Maybe he fouls, maybe the shot isn't going. But Sam, here's the thing. I think with Steve Kerr, there are things that he's going to do that's going to annoy you. You're going to know that. And we've talked about that. I do think, though, we know that when Kuminga comes back, Guy is going to be in the rotation because of who Steve Kerr is. 1,000% Guy Santos is not going to sit because Steve Kerr loves guys like him. Steve Kerr understands the value of a guy like Guy Santos. By the way, just screaming at the crowd after the N1 layup. Just
also, like,
believable.
Draymond's pretty much playing exclusively center now, which is kind of how the season always ends. Like every year they're like, we don't want him to play the 5. And then every year you get to March and it's like Draymond at the 5, Draymond at the 5, because that's your best lineup. But to play him at the 5, you need as many guys the size of Guy with the toughness of that as possible, right? Like it only works if you have a bunch. I mean, Steve's insane that he'll do it with 4 guards, but like ideally you're doing it with like 2 to 3 like wings around him. So what you're lacking kind of in terms of like size at rim protection, you have size all around the perimeter, right? So I think you're right. I think even when Kuminga comes back, like you can have some fun lineups. You can go like Steph, Jimmy, Guy, Kuminga, Draymond. You know, it's sure, you're small at center, you're huge everywhere else. You know, like you could do a lot of creative things, and that's kind of what's cool about Guy is 6'7" a wing, smart enough to play multiple positions, can hit enough shots. Like, yeah, you could fit him in different ways on this team. He's got to play. Yeah, he's got to continue playing. He's got to continue playing. That's all that matters.
I love him. A lot of texts I get are about Guy Santos because people just the easy guy to root for, man. He's a fan favorite. He's man, and he's not a fan favorite in the fact that it's like, oh, he makes a shot, everybody cheer for him because he kind of sucks, but he's fun. It's like, no, he's actually out there playing crunch time because the Warriors freaking need him. And even when Pods and Kuminga, hopefully when they're back on Monday or whatever, Thursday maybe, like he's still gonna play. Play. They need him.
It's like everyone's looking for multi-positional wings who make winning plays. I'm not out here being like, oh, Guy Santos, he's the next OG Anunoby or something like that. But it's like, it's like, you know what I'm saying though? It's like any facsimile of that, even if it's like, not as good or as that, like they can always fit in your rotation. They can always fit because there's no matchup they do not work in. There's no matchup where you're like, oh, we don't need this guy who gets every loose ball and can guard multiple positions. Like there's not like a matchup where you're like, oh, this is a bad matchup for a multi-positional wing, So it's a lot of Guy talk.
On a broader scale, real quick, I know we got some reads coming. On a broader scale, the Warriors G League developmental system, pretty good, I think. I'm not going to act like an expert. I know everyone's G League developmental system, but Guy Santos, pretty cool. Pat Spencer played some really good games this season.
Yeah.
Kevin Knox, fun, like really good. Like they've done a great job, I think, of Quentin Post. He played the G League. It was great. Like
how much does it help?
Work?
How much does it help getting like a second star? So
yeah.
I mean, like a lot of it goes hand in hand because like I thought Pat Spencer and Guy were good in the early part of the season, but it was kind of like,
right.
Who cares? That sort of thing. So it's good.
Fun times. All right. Let Yours Podcast. We are brought to you by Prize Picks. You guys know the deal. Run your game all season long. on Prize Picks. Prize Picks, best place to get real money sports action. All you got to do is pick more or less on at least 2 players for a shot to win up to 1,000 times your cash. Prize Picks puts their members first. All withdrawals are fast, safe, and secure. When my picks hit, I can get my money quick as 15 minutes. Prize Picks got weekly promotions every Tuesday, Taco Tuesday. They discount player projections up 25% to provide even more value for your lineups. They got this thing too where you can do like a 6-player parlay, and you only need to hit 4, right? They got these offers where you only need to hit 4 to get money back. So download the app today. Use code LightYears. Get $50 instantly after you play your first $5 lineup. That's $50 instantly when you play your first $5. Prize Picks. Run your game.
Guys, I'm here to talk about Body Spec. You know where we're at here. Everyone's trying to get back in shape, get on your fitness journey, whether you are a budding middle-aged man like me, where you're just like, I'm just trying to stay in shape, or you're younger, maybe you're not in your college days, and you're just trying to figure out where you're at. Everyone wants to get back into shape, and what Body Spec helps you do is really figure out where your body's at. So anyone can stay on a scale. Andy and I can both stay on a scale. We're both 202 pounds. But what does that really mean? 202 for Andy, he's ripped, got a 6-pack. 202 for me, I got beer gut. Not the same thing, So what you really want to know is like what's going on under the hood. And that's why you should get a DEXA scan. And a DEXA scan is a highly accurate method of measuring your body's actual composition. So like body fat percentage, lean muscle mass, visceral fat, the fat around your organs, basically the stuff that like really tells you like, are you in good shape or are things not working the way you want to? And the cool thing about Body Spec is they've made it affordable for all. So traditionally, this is something that, like the Warriors do it, the 49ers do it, like pro athletes do it, but the average Joe, like Andy and Sam, we're not doing it because we don't have access to it. It costs $500, $700, $2 billion to get done. What Body Spec has done has made it affordable for everyone. So go to bodyspec.com, use the code LightYears45, get a DEXA scan for only $45 and start your fitness journey. Find out where your body fat percentage is, find out what's really going on in your body, and start that fitness journey. That's LightYears45, bodyspec.com.
We got our own page on Body Spec too. Let's go. I love it. Yeah.
Also, like it's just true. Like get the scan, guys. It's gonna make you feel a lot better about yourself. Steph Curry crossed 25,000 points tonight. It's funny because like I don't think of those like raw numbers in basketball the same way you think of like with baseball. Like how baseball is like a big deal to hit 300 or 500 home runs. It's such like a thing, but like just being honest about it, Steph's top 30 all time in total points. He will pass Jerry West in the next couple of weeks, which is a huge deal. Jerry West, an all timer. And, he's got a few years ahead of him. He's got a realistic chance to get to 30,000 points. And I think he has a very realistic chance to end up above Shaq and end up top 10 all time.
Wow.
In scoring. Like, he's at 25,000 and, I don't know, like 10 points or whatever after tonight. He doesn't seem like he's slowing. I think he's got at least a couple of years of high-level ball in him, and who knows how many more years he will play. Realistically, he scores like 2,000 points a season, 1,800, something like that. So, he's going to end the season 25,500, something like that, right? Like give or take. Next thing you know, he gets up to 28,000. Next thing you know, he's like passing Shaq, and he's at 11th or 10th all time. Kind of crazy because, he's had such a, 3 years in college, the injuries. I never really thought of him as like a raw accumulation guy, but it's starting to add up, man. It's really starting to add up.
So I was just going to say, to put this stuff into context, I actually never thought of this stuff this stuff doesn't matter as much to me. But it always feels like Steph was a little behind on this stuff because of what you just said. The injuries earlier in the career, right? He didn't come out one and done, right? He didn't come in as a high schooler like some of these other guys. Also, the biggest one, look at this list. How many guards are on this list? There's Russ and there's Harden, right?
He's about to pass Jerry West, who was like the greatest small scoring guard of all time, in the early era of the NBA. To your point, Russ is ahead of him, but he'll pass Russ.
He'll pass Russ.
Russ's days of being like a 25 point per game scorer are gone. Once he passes Russ, I think he's going to pass Havlicek, on this too. And Havlicek is also kind of a smaller guard. Once he gets past Havlicek, which will happen sometime next year, everyone above him is like 6'7" and above.
And that's the big thing. And I think people always point this out too. Like if you look at the efficiency, if you expand beyond this and look at the efficiency in the way that Steph does it, like it's unbelievable, right? Because the shooting statistics are crazy the way that he does it. So not only is he going to, I think what you said is get into the top 15, right? Top 10, even in scoring, but he's going to do it in a way that's different from everybody else. He's going to be shooting 40+% from three on absurd volume. He finishes in the paint like he's a 7-footer. So to that point, I don't think there's going to be an argument when his career is over who was the greatest guard of all time, who's the greatest point guard of all time, right? Top 5 player of all time by the time his career is over. It's just, I mean, I never thought of it like this. So I'm glad you brought it. Like, I never thought of the raw total points, but really the stuff that the air that he's going to be in, the players that are going to be around him when he gets to the end is, man, like he compared to like Tim Duncan. Like Tim Duncan was like, he just puts his hands up, he dunks the ball. Like it's just the game's so much easier. Like LeBron, right? Like LeBron, he still doesn't really have a go-to move. It just doesn't matter. He's just absurdly big and in shape and healthy. And you could just go run a guy over and lay it up. Like what Steph, he's actually skilled. I think Steve Kerr said it the other day. I think it's the best way to put it. Like he is easily the best skilled player of all time. He's 6'3" guard. And he's 37 years old. I don't even know how you can
argue. Yeah, you really can't argue it because he has by far the least physical tools of anyone you're talking about here. Like there's some Kevin Durant is skilled out of his mind. He's also 6'11". Like what I mean? Like sometimes it helps. It helps just being able to rise up sometimes, like there's just simply not an argument in terms of skill level about Steph versus anyone. The other stat, which I think is actually probably matters more to Steph, is he's only the 7th player to score 25,000 points with one franchise. And the list is, I'm going to go in reverse order. Steph, Jerry West, Reggie Miller, Havlicek, Tim Duncan, Dirk Nowitzki, and Kobe Bryant. And for those watching, everyone other than Dirk and Kobe, Steph will surpass next year at the latest. Like he is only 1,500 points behind Tim Duncan. He will pass that in 50 games. He will, hopefully he doesn't get injured, but like he will at some point next season be 3rd all time for points with one franchise. Pretty cool. I don't know that he's going to be able to catch a Dirk and Kobe, just the longevity there. But the one thing I've learned with Steph is I can't write it off, because in my head, I'm like, oh, he's got 2 years left. He's blah, blah, he's not going to do it. It's like, bro, I thought he had 2 years left 5 years ago.
Yeah. And I think even this season, right? You watch this season. I mean, he looked pretty, beginning of the season. You're like, ooh. Oh, not you, but like just everyone watching it.
Sure,
like,
sure.
I don't know. Yeah. But all of a sudden tonight, Steph played one of his worst games in weeks. Had 32 points. Like, just light, a light 32. And by the way, I'm looking at this list right here. Dirk and Tim Duncan Dirk's got to be probably one of the most underrated players of all time. Got to be. It just nobody talks about Dirk. He's freaking unbelievable. Can you imagine Dirk in this era?
Oh, I'm going to pivot it, but if I was a Mavs fan,
oh boy, here we go.
It would drive me off the reservation to hear the GM talking about like, we want guys with that Mamba mentality. And it's not a disrespectful thing to Kobe, but it's like Dirk, statue out front, literally everything you're talking about. You don't need to bring up a Laker example. Like it would Steph's going to retire, and essentially every Warrior player in history is going to be compared to Steph. Like if they're good, you and I, facetiously, maybe seriously, we're just gonna be like, "I go, not Steph, not Steph." You know what I'm saying? Like it's like he's like the legend who lives above everyone because of everything he's accomplished, right? And Dallas hired a guy who, for lack of a better way to put it, like doesn't even give a fuck that like Dirk Nowitzki for 20 years put that franchise on his back, won them their only championship. And to your point, probably one of the most underrated players of all time. Like everyone knows he's good, but like he doesn't really get mentioned in like I don't really understand the argument from Karl Malone ahead of Dirk Nowitzki, other than like boomers still kind of dominate the media. That's really it. It's really just like dudes who played against Karl Malone think higher of him, that sort of thing. Anyway, my point is he is one of the greatest players of all time. And if I was a Mavs fan, it would drive me insane to have a GM who doesn't like use him as like the thing we want to live up to. It's like we want players who live up to the Dirk Nowitzki creed or whatever the hell you want to call it.
This is how you know that he doesn't get the fan. I mean, we know he doesn't get the organization, right? But it is like if someone came to the Warriors and they're managing the team 8 years from now and they bring up like LeBron, like, or like no, yeah. Right? Like 8 years from now, they're like bringing up LeBron as a guy to start. It's like, bro, this is going. It's San Francisco. It's Bay Area. You know what I mean? Steph won 6 titles here. Come on, what are we doing? You know what I mean? What are we doing?
You don't really need to point to anyone else. Point to the guy who has a statue outside. Literally. He's gonna have a statue outside. Maybe Joe's will be bigger, but he'll have a statue out front.
Hey, Joe can make his statue as big as he wants, paying $120 million, get Jimmy Butler here. You know what I mean? Joe can do whatever he wants right now. I wish they had some Joe shots tonight, man. He's got to be living the dream after what they did at the trade deadline. But yeah, Dirk. I feel like you and I grew up watching Dirk, so I think like we know it. But people. I was watching ESPN or like a clip, and it was like
he kind of gets forgotten. He kind of gets forgotten in the conversation. Yeah, no, I agree with you. Yeah.
Yep. 100%.
Yeah. It's anyway. Let me ask you: do you think Steph gets to? So he's 6,500 points behind Dirk.
So the question really
I see you doing mental math on. Like,
well, because you said 2,000. You said 2,000 a season.
Well, okay. So like if he scores 27 points a game, he needs to play. Pull out my calculator real quick. If he scores 25 points a game, he needs to play 80 games a season to get 2,000 points. So let's go the other way. 2,000 divided by 20. All right. 70 games a season at 27 points. That's 2,000 points a season.
Yeah, that's too high. I don't think it's there. I do think he plays though longer than the 2 seasons that he signed up for. It's just hard for me to imagine that he's retiring. Just look at the way that he plays, the way that he keeps himself in shape. Like he's not going to Luka himself, as Nico Harrison is telling us. Like that's not going to happen. It just doesn't.
How funny would that be? Dude,
yeah, he just shows up
strong. What would you think if he just showed up and
out of shape?
He's got a fucking gut, and
I can't even see Steph doing that after he retires. That's the crazy part. Because like at this point, you know what I mean? Like he's so old. You think so? No, I don't think so. I was gonna say I know Draymond's gonna get fat as fuck when he retires. Yes. Because Draymond, right, like you and I live this. It's like if you have you have friends like this, like if they've always been living like that, you know that even when they stop like doing athlete stuff, they're still going to live like that. They're still not going to eat carbs. Like they're still not going to eat sugar. Yeah. They're still not going to eat past like 8 o'clock. Like Steph is probably that guy. Draymond, maybe a little bit too much wine. You know what I mean? When he turns 42 and he's on TNT or ESPN or whatever. But Steph, going back to it, I think Steph plays
Cheetos and Pinot Noir all night. Yeah. I only say that because he said like his weakness was flaming hot Cheetos, and I say this also. Those things are fucking good. I get it. I get it.
Like flaming hot, extra flaming hot, or like just normal hot Cheetos, dude. They got shit now that's so spicy it can't even be good.
I don't remember the degree of hot, but like I
Is
just
it
thought
black?
funny
If it's black, it's crazy. He's playing more than the next 2 years. That's what I think. He's got this season, 2 more seasons on his contract, and I think he plays another one after that. He's gonna play till he can't, man. I don't think he's walking away. It's like LeBron. He's got like Steph, LeBron, and KD aren't walking away until their body tells them.
that. It's kind of
play
like,
anymore.
isn't that kind of like the whole like face of the league conversation also, where
No boy.
everyone's like, oh, it's like it's still the same 3 to 4 guys. It's been the last decade. I'm sorry, it just is.
Yeah,
Like it.
yeah.
I know you want them to retire, but they're still that good. They're not retiring, and reality is none of the young guys have forced their way above them. Like we haven't had a Shea or an Ant like star at such a high level that they quote unquote retire them. And that's like really what it comes down to. It's like these guys are like, this is a golden generation of NBA history, right? Like Steph, LeBron, KD, those guys. When are some of the young guys going to start outshining them? It's not going to be because of the media. It's going to be because they actually perform at that level.
Has to be. I watch. I mean, the Warriors games. I had 2 screens on. One of them was Lakers Celtics. I had to watch the Lakers lose, and Jason Tatum and Jaylen Brown were awesome tonight. And they looked like they were looking at Luka like, bro, this guy's meat. You know what I mean? I'm like, it's just food.
That's personal,
right here.
personal, right?
It was personal. They knew. They were like, yo, we whooped this dude's ass last year in the finals. We're gonna do it again. And they beat up the Lakers. They're up by 20. LeBron got hurt. They were already up by 15. So I think to your point, like maybe it's Tatum. I love making fun of Tatum. But like if they win a second title in a row and Tatum averages 32 points and this time he wins finals MVP and all that shit, like maybe. You know what I mean? It's a sustained level of winning, right? But I think it goes back to I think it's Steph and LeBron. Like it goes back to those 2 guys where it's also the style of play is just super entertaining. Dude, LeBron in his prime was LeBron in his prime was unbelievable to watch, and Steph to this day is still unbelievable to watch. And so I think it's just that, man. I even think Jokic, watched him last night. Like Jokic is unbelievable. 30, 20, 20. I don't know if it's that exhilarating to watch Jokic. It's not.
It's not a purist like me, man.
I know, but it's like 8-foot floater money. Makes the right pass every single time. It's not, you know what I mean? It's not LeBron blocking a guy at the rim. It's not Steph shooting a fadeaway 36-footer. It's not the same.
The soundboard shuffle is pretty exhilarating. When he hits that shot, I'm just like, yeah, that's a bullshit shot.
But it isn't because he's so good at it. You know what I mean? It's really,
yeah, but like Steph is the king of the bullshit shot. Where you're like, come on, man. You gonna do this? You gonna do this to me? That sort of thing. Chat saying bigs are never exciting. Yeah, that's also
right.
part of it.
That's right.
Sorry, it's just you get every advantage in life. You get every advantage in terms of basketball being big. The one disadvantage you get is you don't excite people the same way the little guys do.
Yeah.
So
maybe Wemby at some point because he's such an alien, right? And I think Wemby cares. Like I think he gives a shit. So maybe it's that. I do like it as a talking point. I do think the face of the league debate is like I think it's cooler than the GOAT debate. You know what I mean? I think it's way better than GOAT debate. I think face of the league stuff. I think that stuff does matter. I think it does show where the NBA is at. Like 5 years from now, if the NBA doesn't really have a quote unquote face of the league, it does kind of tell you where the NBA is at. It's probably not a good place if you can't.
Well, yeah. I mean, the reality of the conversation is no one's taking it from the old guys. The one guy, I mean, we'll talk about it after a quick ad break, but the one guy who's actually good enough at basketball to take it from them, Jokic, just doesn't care to. Like it's like he's got a Tim Duncan personality, and that's fine. But it's like it is kind of funny. Like the one guy who's in his prime who can look like LeBron or Steph in the eye and outplay them in a series. They've done it against LeBron a couple of times and done it against Steph. But I'm gonna throw it out there, in theory.
Might be this season, might be fun. Yeah.
Or maybe not, you never know. But he doesn't really he lacks that he lacks kind of that showman quality in terms of like he's just there to play. So,
showman is a good way to put it. Showman's a good way to put it. It might just be it might be a generational thing. I don't know. Maybe not. I don't know. it's the little kids say aura. I don't see it from the guys that are coming up. I don't see it, but maybe we will. Maybe SGA will win the title this season, and he'll be the guy.
Shut the fuck up.
Lightyear's podcast. I can't even lie. Lightyear podcast were brought to you by Via. Remember when you can function on 4 hours of sleep? Those days are gone. Those days are gone for me. That's for damn sure. Don't worry, Via's got something to help you sleep like a log. It's to this day. I wake up every 2 hours actually. But look, if that's not what you want to do, get Via. Half a million happy customers can't be wrong. Via is changing the game in natural wellness, combining high-quality hemp-derived ingredients with powerful cannabinoids to create real effect-driven results. Want better sleep, more focus, a little boost in the bedroom, or maybe you just need to chill out because your stress levels are currently at screaming into the void status. Whatever you need, Via has a solution for you. Their products range from 0 mg to 100 mg of THC. So these guys have you covered whether you're looking to microdose or enjoy more potent effects, whether you're looking for daily wellness, laser focus, or deep relaxation. Via has it. If you're 21 plus, check out the link to Via in our description. Use the code LIGHTYEARS. That's it, LIGHTYEARS, to receive 15% off and free shipping on orders over $100. And if you're new to Via, get a free gift of your choice. After you purchase, they ask you where you heard about them. Please support our show. Tell them we sent you. Enhance your everyday with Via.
Guys, I'm here to tell you about Timeline. Cellular health is a foundation of well-being and longevity. With MitoPure supplements, you can support your health by encouraging cellular renewal. MitoPure recharges your cells, supporting any goal by helping all of your systems work better. With MitoPure, you'll feel the difference in your energy levels, your workouts, your endurance, and your recovery. MitoPure is the only supplement on the market clinically proven to target the effects of age-related cellular decline. MitoPure is research-backed innovation that unlocks your fullest potential. I've taken MitoPure, and I can tell you, it's a game changer. My workouts are better. Hit the gym today, by the way, Andy. I feel like I had more energy. I can rest well, knowing I'm taking care of my health. And I'm telling you right now, with a annoying 3-year-old, it made a difference. It made me get a little more energy there. So once a day, I take it. Easy to take. You'll thank me later. Right now, Timeline is offering 10% off your MitoPure. Go to timeline.com/lightyears. That's timeline.com/lightyears. Try MitoPure. Get that cellular renewal. Get those workouts back on track, baby. Who's your MVP, Shea or Jokic? Is there anyone else we're really considering, by the way? Like, I guess I never even asked you. I just assumed those were the only two. It is kind of a 2-man race at this point, right?
Yeah, I feel like nobody ever talks about Giannis, but it's a 2-man race. It's a 2-man race. Jokic is a better player. Jokic has better numbers.
30-20-20 is insane. I'm also surprised he's never done it before. I feel like he always walks into lines like that. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, he walks into everything. He literally just walks around the court, and he's a freaking monster. Jokic is hitting the point that I think the MVPs don't matter. Look, I'm not trying to freaking bail out on your question. Look, I think Jokic should be the MVP, but I think Jokic has gotten to the point in his career, and I think this is kind of when he did the interview with him last night, he was kind of saying like, yo, we just got to play better. He wasn't that enthused about the 30-20-20 because I don't know if the MVPs matter, man. Like, he's just got to win championships if he wants to go up in the rankings of all time. I don't know if he cares about going up in the rankings of all time. I'm sure all he cares about is winning, right? But like, he's just got to win championships. I guess it's cool if he wins a 3rd MVP, right? I guess LeBron has 4, right? So it's like cool. Oh, it's a 4th MVP.
This would be his
4th MVP. Yeah, I mean,
he won last year. So
yeah, 4th MVP is ridiculous. So maybe they win a 5th one, then he is awesome. But it's like, you gotta win titles. And to me, that's all that matters. Maybe I'm just a hater. I've gotten to the point where I am pushing back a little bit on the Jokic stuff. I'm seeing stuff online.
I'm the opposite way. Jokic is the only player I feel strongly about outside of Golden State. I just want to pull up his numbers real quick for you.
The team or the player? What do you mean? The player? You talking about the player?
I think the Nuggets put trash around him for the most part.
Oh,
I think he's got a similar situation to the Warriors where he makes like the Jamal Murray legacy is like, who is Jamal Murray outside of Jokic's context?
I mean, he's
who is Michael
money.
Porter Jr.? You know what I'm saying?
Stealing money.
I love Aaron Gordon. Everyone would love an Aaron Gordon on their team, but it's like it reminds me a lot of the Warriors, where I'm like, man, this guy's like an all timer in a way that's really hard to measure in terms of.
Those are still good players, though. Like his isn't like MPJ and Murray are still really good players. They're not. They might be overpaid. They probably are.
Draymond's better than both of them.
Yeah, facts. I mean,
well, defensively is. Offensively, they're both better. I don't know. I don't want to turn this into, yeah, I don't want to turn this into a whole Jokic thing. I'm a huge. I don't know how to put it. I think he's the only player I've seen who impacts the game offensively close to the way Steph does. And I didn't think that was possible. But now I'm at a point where I'm like, if you're telling me Jokic impacts the game like Steph, I'm not going to argue with you. I'm always going to side with number 30 because that's our guy. And it's just different and it feels different. And like the proof is in all the titles and everything. But he's like the only guy where I'm like, yeah, I get it. Like he makes a lot. Like he's making Russell Westbrook look good. I'm sorry. Like that's the thing I want to say right there.
I think I'm still taking Steph. If the question is the better offensive player, and I think it really is the postseason stuff to me. And I think Jokic is still awesome in the postseason. That's all true. I think the postseason stuff, we talked about earlier, where it's, you got to wrestle this face of the league stuff away from these guys. And, and I think that's where we see the difference is if Jokic is never going to win a championship again, and you look at the team around him, like, what does that mean for a guy like that? And if it's just one championship and 4 MVPs or 5 MVPs, I mean, that's not nothing, man. Like there's got to be 2 titles there or 3 or something like that. So I'm not. Maybe I'm just a guy going the other way now, because I don't see a path for him to win titles, and I think the MVP stuff doesn't impact the long-time legacy talk as much for a guy like Jokic, because
I agree with you there.
Just gonna win 3
MVPs and 2 titles will be remembered better than 4 MVPs and 1 title. I mean, he's all timer no matter what. So,
and he got some stolen too, right? Like that Embiid MVP was, I don't know,
we're not gonna pick on Philly because they're fucked. But hey, by the way, you said
where
this
are you going?
20 minutes ago, and I just want to say, Steve Kerr post game goes, with Kuminga coming back, we have to keep playing Guy Santos. Steve, that's my guy right there.
Yeah. Steve couldn't wait to say that. They do need Kuminga. I actually think they need pause right now more than Kuminga. Like you can see right now they're lacking ball handling. Like they don't have enough ball handling. Like it's a lot of Steph, it's a lot of Jimmy. Jimmy was freaking unbelievable tonight, but like he's 35, like he's tired. He don't want to play like that all game. Pause don't get tired. Paul just gets hit all the time, right? But like they need him back on the court. I don't know how Kuminga's going to fit, which is, I think to this point, I think Steve's got a little bit of that too. I think Steve's got a little bit like, I don't know how he's going to fit. Steve, you guys only got like 15 games left though. You guys better figure it out.
I also think that's actually the biggest thing here, where I don't know if Steve wanted Jimmy, but I think now that he has him, he knows exactly what he has. And he's like, no, I'm not fucking with this. And Guy is a Kerr player. Guy is a Kerr player to a T.
Yep.
Makes total sense with how they want to play. They got their 2 stars. They got Draymond. They need guys who know how to play off of it. It's an emboldened Steve Kerr quote, but I don't think he's wrong right here. I don't think he's wrong. I think there's enough minutes for both of them, to be clear. They're gonna play small. They don't have enough wings, honestly. So, like, you don't need to play Buddy Hield 30 minutes, buddy. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, there's minutes to be had here if Draymond's going to be a full-time 5.
I think I agree with you. Like Moody played almost 40 minutes tonight. I think like Buddy, I think Steve has kind of moved away from the blind trust in Buddy Hield, which thank God. I think tonight was another one of those moments where he just didn't have it. He doesn't have it. Just just go ahead and bench him. I'm with you. I think they can get enough minutes for Kuminga. The question is like Kuminga's, he likes playing 28 minutes, right? Like, I don't know he plays more than 20 when he comes back, right? And that's like I feel like we do this every season, Samuel. We do this every season. It's like, all right, Kuminga minutes watch. You know what I mean? So I actually think I'm a little worried, but this team is playing so well that it's like one of those things where it's like, well, you can't really bitch and moan if the team's winning. That's the difference. If the team's not winning, then why the hell is Kuminga playing 20 minutes? Play Kuminga 40. But the team is winning. Like, you just got to fit in where you can fit in.
And I think that's pretty much that's pretty much what he's saying quote wise anyway too. He's like, what we're doing is working. I'm not going to bench a guy who's helping us win. So we'll figure it out. Yeah, man. Good stuff. I said we call it a night.
Let's go.